staying with us, as always, right here every single weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern at the WrestlingMatchShow.com. That makes me Matt Camp. Hello, welcome. How you doing? It is a Thursday. You know where to go, TheWrestlingMatchShow.com. Thanks for joining us here. You can subscribe, you can share it, you can comment, and you can now check out our memberships. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up, including something very special we have for SummerSlam. That's right, an extra way to join me for SummerSlam. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but a lot to get to. And if you haven't subscribed, you can do that, and you can go back and watch. As Rob just said, right above Todd, there it is at TheWrestlingMatchShow.com, which, by the way, spoiler, is our first tier on our memberships. It's called Right Above Todd. So, Rob, thanks for that. We'll take care of you on that one. But we're doing it right now. It is time for the Wrestling Mat. If you've missed anything, go back and watch when this is over. We put a lot of shorts up in the last couple of days. We also, in the last couple of days, on our live episodes, where you can join us every single weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Some things I've talked about. Monday, talked about how my time was working with Cody Rhodes, both on the independents and in WWE, how Cody conducts himself, how the beginnings of him being the top guy that he is right now in WWE started all the way back when he was on the indies. Someone I saw who knew what his presence meant to fans that came to independent shows and knew Stardust and knew Cody Rhodes and knew Dusty Rhodes and knew Goldust. I talked all about that on an episode this past few days ago on Monday. You can go back and check that out at TheWrestlingMatchShow.com. Also, I talked about how creative looked at Dom Mysterio in the Judgment Day at the beginning. And by that, I mean they didn't consider him part of the group when everybody else did. And how I was given certain instructions by creative on how to handle Dom's not quite entry into the Judgment Day. Yeah, I don't think people realize that initially Dom was not supposed to be part of the Judgment Day as quickly as he was, and how he was protected along the way. At least that's what creative gave to us as we talked to the Judgment Day in various interviews in WWE. I talked all about that. How about NXT currently living off of maybe the element of the intrigue, the element of surprise? Not necessarily a bad thing in wrestling, but I'm living off that right now. Ratings were down. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show this week. A lot going on in the news. You could throw that in there. But is that what NXT is living off of right now? What could happen next? Which is not necessarily about the talent that they have, but the talent that could show up, especially if their name is mentioned. Also this week, I talked about why Tony Khan is doing the right thing to over-promote and go overboard, if you even think he is, with his talent. Talked about Mercedes Moné and how she's one of the greatest signings ever. Talked about Edge having one of the best runs, I believe he said the best run of his career before his injury in AEW. Why is that a good thing? We talk about that right here at TheWrestlingMatchShow.com. Go back and watch previous episodes, because Tony's doing exactly what every other promoter has done for the last 40 to 50 years. But some people don't like when he says it because it ruins their narrative. And it ruins what they do on this and talk down about stuff. And I appreciate a lot of the comments I read as it related to me talking about that and people kind of getting it. Some people find their favorite old wrestling podcaster who makes money by saying things that people react to and intentionally say those things. And they that's my opinion too. I'm going to stick with it. They know exactly what they're doing. You can have your own opinions. You don't have to believe in mine. We have a lot of great back and forth here, whether it be the comments, whether it be the comments that show up after on YouTube. No matter what, we are here to respond and go back and forth. I like the discourse. I like to have good, constructive conversations. Slam Hub, I'm live right now. It's always live. We're live right now, as we are every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Don't even have to feature it. It's a live program. So you can get your questions in, and you can definitely get your questions in if you would like to throw us a super chat, because super chats move to the front of the line. We talk about what you want to talk about right away, and it also gets you entered into our giveaway, which ends on Friday. So you have today and you have tomorrow to get a super chat in. You get into the giveaway and you can win. It's right across the bottom. A signed Jeff Jarrett Bendy. Jeff Jarrett has certainly been back in the wrestling spotlight as of late, as he should be with everything he's done in AEW and the Owen Hart Classic, Owen Hart Foundation, I should say, Cup, and how close Owen and Jeff are. It's been great to see Jeff do what Jeff does best. And if you haven't watched anything that Jeff has done, especially the promos, whether it be by himself, the promo he cut after the interview, I wouldn't even call it a promo. It was just a heartfelt back and forth between him and Martha Hart and Oj Hart, the widow and son of Owen Hart. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Jeff has put on a masterclass in connecting with the audience over the last month and a half. And why wouldn't you want to have his signed Bendy? It is a different kind of action figure, but you can get a signed Double J Bendy if you get a super chat in today or tomorrow. It'll end there. We'll give it away next week to those that have done super chats, and super chats do get you indeed to the front of the line. And speaking of that, the memberships, I've talked about them a lot. Guess what? I have a lot more details coming your way right now. So here's what we're going to do with the memberships. So you can go check out right now at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. Would love to have you aboard in our memberships, and here's what we're going to offer to you. For those of you that have been with us, we appreciate it. I said more would be coming. Here's what we have for you. If you sign up right now, it's a special sign-up bonus. Even those at the lowest level, $2.99, you will be able to live stream SummerSlam with me exclusively. I'm going to watch SummerSlam with our members who sign up for a membership. That is a sign-up bonus right now. That is on any tier. If you do that right now, you get to watch SummerSlam with me. You can ask questions. I'll give you instant reaction. Only available live for our members. You sign up on any one of our tiers, starting at $2.99, and you can join the Wrestling Mat stream, watch party. Can I say watch along? They don't like that anymore. I did that show. Whatever you want to call it, you can watch SummerSlam with me right here if you sign up for a membership on any tier, starting at $2.99. What else do we have, though, for you? Our base level, which is right above Todd. Rob, thank you for that. We'll give you entry to members-only live chats. Priority reply to comments. I'll be looking for your stuff first and foremost. Special merchandise discounts will be coming. You can be part of our special Ask Me Anything episodes. We haven't done any of those yet. We're saving it for our members, exclusively for the public here, as I take your questions. But you guys get to set the tone. That is our first tier, $2.99, right above Todd. The mid-card level and above will watch live stream episodes of Raw or SmackDown or Dynamite chosen. We'll dissect it. We'll let you guys pick it on a poll. And you'll get some exclusive content I'm putting together just for you, including what's coming soon. Top 5 SummerSlam matches ever, in my opinion. I'll talk about them in depth. And our top level, the Mat event. Our highest level. Not the main event, the Mat event. You get all the following. I'll follow you on social media on my account, The Mat Camp, and our account, Wrestling Mat 23. You'll get a special piece of merchandise after 90 days of being a member. A random drawing where you get a one-on-one 30 minutes with me, just you and me. And one member a month will be chosen at random to watch any event that they want to back with me and other members. So someone gets to pick it, and everybody who's in the Mat event tier can watch it along. Live event PLEs will also be able to watch as well. And I am working on something where I'm going to take you through my experiences at each WWE Premium Live event pay-per-view that I attended. Backstage stories, stuff that came from the bump episodes we did, the chaos of it, who I knew was there, surprises, any of that. We're going to do a whole series on the PLEs I attended while working for WWE. So all of that right now, check it out at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. Remember, signing up now for any tier, which starts at $2.99, will allow you to watch SummerSlam with me. So check that out right now. We certainly appreciate it. Make sure you get the super chats in today or tomorrow or both, and you can get into that giveaway for the signed Double J action figure, the Bendy. Slam Hub says, top 5 SummerSlam matches, but the catch is you can't be from SummerSlam 2002. Funny, because that is the best SummerSlam. And no event, no performance has yet to top it. So yeah, there might be a match or two, at least from that show alone, in my top 5. But you'll have to become a member to find out. Let's get into Dynamite, everybody. Dynamite 250. Tony Khan, very excited about it. Talked about it earlier this week on Twitter, saying there's 2 big milestones this week. Dynamite 250 is Wednesday. My dad's birthday is Thursday. Shout out. Rob! Hey, thank you for that, sir. Do you get a free gift from Coliseum Home Video? Hey, does he get a free gift? Yeah, we're going to work on that. Todd says, I think we can make that happen. Thank you to Rob. We appreciate that. You're in the giveaway for the signed Double J Jeff Jarrett Bendy. We'll see about that free gift. That would be your free gift, I guess, technically. You could win that right there. Back at the Dynamite. Thank you, Rob, and thank you to those who get the super chats in there. WWE for life. It's not my dad's birthday. Dad's birthday is in October. It's Shad Khan's birthday today, which AEW did put a graphic out. It's also RJ City's birthday today. Happy birthday to him. And a man who helps with this show. I have his picture here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Do I have it here? Someone who helped put some of the graphics out for the show is Mike Brown, former Bump Trivia winner. Oh, here you go. I knew I had it here. What a guy. He gave me a signed autograph. Mike Brown, happy birthday. Often seen alongside Joey Janela, just hanging out after GCW shows. Love Mike Brown. Love the help he's done for the show, including help make this right there. And very much more. Yes, Tom, in a way, Shad is all of our dads. You need a good wrestling dad out there. It's never bad to have one. I could be your wrestling dad. I am a dad, but why can't I be a wrestling dad? Did I look into branding like that? Yes, I did. Am I going to do it? Who the hell knows? It sounded good. I saw somebody else that has the handle. There's also another wrestling man out there. I haven't had caffeine in 2 weeks, and all that I just said sounded like I've had a bunch of it, but I haven't had it in 2 weeks. This is water. It's got my name on it. You can even see it. It's a thing from nice little gift from my fiance. She's got a matching pink one. Anyway, why am I so fired up today? I don't even know. I didn't come in here with a lot of it, but I am here. I'm with you now. Let's talk about Dynamite. Dynamite 250. Tony Khan excited about restoring the feeling. He's talked about it a little bit. Even joked about, putting the glasses back on. And I appreciated that. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's wrestling. It's promotion. It's getting people excited. The enthusiasm that he has, it's a good thing. I mean, think about the years of wrestling promoters that crapped on the fans or didn't take them seriously or whatever it may be. And then you have someone who's enthusiastic about wrestling like Tony Khan. You don't have to agree with everything he says, but my goodness, he's going in the right direction for the right reasons. And you might feel the same thing for what Triple H and WWE is doing right now. I actually liked that when Hunter was talking about the longer pay-per-views and he made the joke, he's like, no, I wasn't talking about the other. And he wasn't taking that shot. Believe me, there are shots they want to take at AEW. They take them. That was him going, yeah, I remember these long, stupid pay-per-views we used to do. Because if you think about it, Triple H, when they did takeovers, those were nice condensed shows. 5 matches, maybe 6. It was a fight to get on the card. Not a lot of backstage bullshit. He doesn't like those. You don't want to be at the end of those. He's been at the end of long shows. That's what he was getting at. I don't think anybody in wrestling needs 4-hour pay-per-views. If it's the biggest show of the year, go for it. That's fine. Don't need them. Now, that brings me to how Dynamite started and didn't conclude until an hour later, nearly. MJF Will Ospreay for the International Championship. Well built so far. Thought this would be another Ospreay match at Wembley. It is not yet. Thought it would be Ospreay and Swerve. Didn't happen. They do it at Forbidden Door. Thought we get Ospreay and MJF at Wembley. We could still get that match. Not saying that, because it goes back to what I've been saying about Ospreay. Ospreay's got to get to the level of a world champion. And by that level, I mean you need to go somewhere that champions are willing to go, babyface or heel. You have to go the extra mile. You have to take the extra shot. You have to use the Tiger Driver. Will Ospreay's had opportunities to use the Tiger Driver against Swerve. Didn't do it. Lost. Last night, had a chance to do it at the end of the match with MJF. Didn't do it. Lost. Now, part of me says, why do you beat Will Ospreay twice in the span of a couple weeks? I don't love that. But the story seems to be, and the one they should be trying to tell is he's got to go a little further. And I'm not talking about listening to Don Callis or anything. He's got to go a step further. And I know that Callis stuff is done. They wrap that up. The Tiger Driver is not a banned move. That's a different story. The Tiger Driver is legal. It's dangerous, and Will knows that, but it's a legal move. Using a banned move would be more of a heel thing. Or a move that gets banned because a heel is able to finagle with the higher-ups, the EVPs or whatever, and, they can't use that. You know, when Edge couldn't use the spear, whatever the hell it was. So, like, Ziggler won the title that one time. That's different. But the Tiger Driver is not a banned move. People want to see Will Ospreay. His fans want to see Will Ospreay hit the Tiger Driver. That's where he's got to go. How often, too often, do we, it started with Randy, and I think it worked for Randy. And then for others, it didn't. Where it's like, he's got to go to that place. And Randy would do the thing, and he'd punch the mat, and he's going to punch somebody because he had voices in his head. Sure, it worked and they kept trying to do that. And that happened so often in Black and Gold NXT. He's got to go to that place that he doesn't want to go. And that became every babyface who didn't push hard enough. And then maybe they would turn heel after that because they went too far. You can overdo that. For Will, he's had that killer instinct before. I like that Swerve brought that up. And he's saying maybe he's lost a little bit because he's happy to be there. And he wants to prove he's at the top of the company where the best wrestle. Yes, you should want that. But if you're the best, you use your entire arsenal that's allowed to be used. And that includes the Tiger Driver. He used it on Bryan Danielson. It beat Bryan Danielson. He's going to have to use it again. When will he use it again? Didn't use it last night. I didn't think they'd go the hour. Some people had brought up yesterday, what's the finish for Swerve and Okada? And then some people brought up the 30-minute time limit. I brought up the idea of a DQ. That's what they did. Whether you like it or not, that's what they did. I thought it made sense in the time. Not a big deal. Instead, they sit on Will and MJF for the time limit. 60 minutes in title matches in AEW. I think they should get closer to the time limit more often because you want to keep that in people's minds. I mentioned yesterday, I've mentioned it a few times, that the collision match from about a month or so ago between FTR and Yuta and Claudio is well worth going out of your way to watch. It's 30 minutes. It's a time limit draw. It's excellent. You got to get people, you got to ingrain that in people's heads that that's in play. As that match went on last night, I think once you're past the 40-minute mark, okay, now it's, okay, the draw is in play. They're going to go to it. What they did in that match was, to me, the essence of AEW. They talk about restoring the feeling. And a lot of people wanted them to get away from so much of the BS and ideas that haven't worked in any company. A lot of people are, it's WWE 2019 again. It was a lot of stuff that was a little too inside, too cute, too not enough of the wrestling. You can tell stories via the wrestling. They did a great job of that in the Owen tournament on both sides. That was so well done. And as I said, I talked to people within the company very high up, and they were so happy with how that came across. And they hit a home run in both the men's and the women's. Just an excellent presentation. Weaving stories into the tournament and with stories coming out of the tournament. That's what you want to do. Hangman couldn't get to Swerve because he lost. He was willing to do anything. He beat up Jeff Jarrett. He tried to cheat. Jeff Jarrett stopped him. Danielson wins. Swerve can't. Hangman can't get to Swerve. So what does he do? Tell him I said I'll do it. And he's in blood and guts. Why? So he could get to Swerve. Willow doesn't win in the final because Chris, who she beat on the way, interfered with Stokely. Willow's the CMLL champion. Willow and Chris are not done yet. I think that could be a gimmick match of some sort since they already had a singles match. You can go with a stipulation with those two. Hang Stokely over the ring. Oh, he's going to hate me for suggesting that. Stokely in a shark cage. Think of that. Oh, you put a camera up there and you get a microphone and just listen to him being scared of heights the whole time? Stokely in a shark cage. Damn, they could have done it last week for Shark Week. Do it again. Shark Week Part 2. Do it at Wembley. Put Stokely in a shark cage. Let's see what happens. Just him being scared out of his mind. Think of the great managers of the past that have been put in a cage and hidden up there or whatever, and they're scared. I hope. That would be so good. Anyway, the wrestling. AEW wants to put on great matches. That is why the tagline of where the best wrestle is what it is, as it should be. You could still weave the stories in and out. You had a real good story going in with MJF and Ospreay. MJF turning on Garcia. The babyface run is over, as it should be. Done well. I basically forgive all of the babyface-ish promos that he was cutting since the comeback. They rode out the pop. That's all they did. People knew they'd be excited to see him. They were. They rode out the pop. He turns. He's in a better spot. But there is a threat to MJF's spot, and it's Will Ospreay. And I don't think he's going to be acknowledging that. But that's clear. And the commentary has said it as well. And that's where commentary does a good job. Commentary can always fill the gaps in of a story. If a heel's lying, they call him or her on it. If a heel is talking around what they really feel, good commentary will bring that up. MJF didn't like the fans. Or does MJF feel threatened by Will Ospreay? Does he have to match what Will Ospreay does in the ring? For 59 minutes and 58 seconds last night, that was the story. They wrestled more of an Ospreay match. Not completely. And that's not to put anybody in a box. And MJF will tell you, I've went an hour before. Why isn't that my match? That's fair. He should say that. He should call out commentary. I would love to see him on social media after he kind of hinted that the match was going to go long with him on the Stairmaster. Go, why is everybody calling last night's match an Ospreay match? Why can't I go 60 minutes? I've done it before. I was champion for 404 days, whatever the hell it was. That was my match. Who won at the end? I won that match. And they had a good back and forth the whole time. They didn't really hint that it was going to go an hour. They just said limited commercial interruptions and it was going to start the show. And it kept going, and it kept going. And there's things you can nitpick about it. The fact that they did the body part work early on, I would have done that later because it kind of didn't get sold at times. Went from the leg to the arm of Ospreay. He crumbled early on. I think I looked when he crumbled on that throw to the corner about 20 minutes in. They went another 40 minutes after that. Maybe you do that later. People are complaining about the fight into the crowd. How many matches go into the crowd or come back? I'm okay with referees' discretion. They got a great moment out of it. When Ospreay opened up MJF for the girl to hit him, and then she did, and MJF flips him off. That's great. That should be everywhere. You know what? That's more of the positive. They should have counted him out. Now, when Will rolled in back in the ring, and that wasn't necessary because they just fought for about 2 minutes outside. That's a nitpick. It's a title match. They don't like each other. That has happened in every company that referees let it go. Should they have done a walk-in brawl for 2 minutes? That's not on the ref. That's not on Bryce. That's on the producer. If they push back, you want to say it's on MJF, you want to say it's on Ospreay, whatever. I don't care. I didn't have a problem with it. Those two guys didn't like each other. There was a title on the line. They weren't fighting to the backs. They were still in the ringside area. Austin did it. Rock did it. A lot of guys. Hogan used to choke people with his friggin' shirt. Sometimes when the crowd's into it, you just let it go. And they did. And they used a table. And that elbow looked brutal. That is not a fun spot for anybody involved. I like that MJF rolled to the ropes a couple times because it protects moves. Showed his ring awareness. I really, really liked what Taz was harping on with MJF. Because through everything, being a scumbag, Tony Schiavone hating him, and I want to talk about Tony in a little bit because he makes such a difference on that broadcast. Excalibur being the straight man in the middle to tell the story. But I really liked that Taz kept coming back to, listen, he's shady. You don't have to like the guy, but he's a former world champion. And he is a student of the game. And if there's anything that is true that has come out of Max's mouth or has been posted, he loves wrestling. He has studied wrestling. He studied the best of wrestling. That goes a long way in telling his story. Because it's not about studying the great baby faces. It's also about studying the great heels. He did the back rake. Taz brings up Ronnie Garvin. MJF's going to study the greats no matter who they are and take from them. And if that's about cheating, that's about cheating. That's what he does. He's a student of the game, though, and every aspect of the game. Do whatever it takes to win. He learned how to do that because he studied. I like that. Will's going to be Will. Will's going to be flashy. Will can do things with such ease, as was brought up on commentary. And I also like the idea that they talked about how easy Will made it look, and then he got beaten down, and then it wasn't so easy anymore. Will Ospreay is not the kind of guy who grinds out a win. He's still doing, everything about him is flashy. It's impactful, it's flashy. MJF grinds out a win. Certain guys grind out a win. You watch an Okada match. It takes some time to get going. He's slow. He's methodical. Plays to the crowd a bit. Some guys want to beat the hell out of you. Jon Moxley grinds out wins sometimes if it's a tough match. Will Ospreay is not a grinder. He got put in a grinder match last night and he lost. It's not what he does. That's okay, though. That's why styles make fights. MJF and Ospreay are two different kinds of wrestlers. They come together, it works. Everybody talks about, I'd love to see Cena and Tanahashi. I don't. That's the same guy. I want to see Tanahashi and Randy Orton, and I want to see John Cena and Okada one day, because those are different styles. Those are different dynamics. I don't want to see the same guy wrestle the same. It's not as good. That's why babyface matches don't always go that well. I saw someone in there, it was Hollywood Blonde, say, who would be better in WWE, MJF or Ospreay? MJF is the answer. Absolutely, he is. I think Ospreay's exactly where he should be. I would be very interested to see MJF in WWE and to see how much he would listen. I'd put it that way. He's clearly a big Triple H fan. How much would that affect his work? How much would that change his work? How would his promos be different? That's just fantasy booking. Maybe we'll do that as an extra piece of content one day. Would Ospreay get lost in WWE? That's also a fair question. No, I don't think he would. I think in the current day WWE, Will Ospreay would do well because he would be presented at such a high level. And I wouldn't put him on speed. I think that machine. Look, AEW's done a great job promoting Will Ospreay. It's not that hard with what he gives you. He would be giving the WWE machine the same thing. And off he would go. But I think that MJF would fit better. I don't think he'd get lost. No. But back to AEW in the match. I kind of throw this out to all of you. Was a 60-minute match between two of the top stars battling over, let's call it the workhorse title. Did that give you the feeling of your favorite AEW moments, your favorite AEW times? Was that match kind of the mission statement of AEW? Because to me, it was that. And then also, the way MJF won, it wasn't about it being a great match. People will call it a great match, but it wasn't about what I think. Well, AEW wrestlers do it. WWE wrestlers have acknowledged the star ratings as well when they come from Meltzer or whoever. I don't care what rating that match gets. It should matter. It was a great match with a finish that should piss you off, which is what it's supposed to do. MJF brings out the ring and cheats with seconds to go. And that's the only way he was able to defeat Will Ospreay. That should bother you. That should piss you off. Now you want to see that guy who barely survived, who has oxygen on his face. And I do love that little piece. I talked about it. I love that New Japan does that, has always done that with their main events and the ones that go long and the exhaustive nature of them. That should be the look of someone who just went through an hour in the ring. In his third match back, by the way. Let's give MJF credit for that. His third match back. He works Roosh a couple of weeks ago, 15 minutes? He went about 10 or 11 with Hechicero on Forbidden Door, and he goes an hour with a guy who's got an endless gas tank. That was impressive. An hour. They kept going during those picture-in-pictures, too. But that's what you want. That guy needs oxygen. He survived. He cheated. Nothing about that makes MJF likable. I want to see them do it again. I want to see. The idea, I think, should be that Will Ospreay goes to the next level. It should be MJF that brings it out of him. It should be people telling him. And you know who's got to tell Will Ospreay? If we're going to get Ospreay and MJF again at Wembley, and it's a rematch, you got to get everything out of Ospreay. You got to make sure he empties the tank. You got to make sure he uses his entire arsenal. What I would do, as people keep trying, I think that's part of the build. MJF is goading Will Ospreay. You won't go where I go. That's why I have your title. That's why I've been to the top of this company. You won't go there. You're afraid to go there. Why? You're going to hurt somebody? Tough shit. That's this business. He's got to push Ospreay there. But he doesn't push him all the way. At Wembley, before Will's about to go out for his match. You could do this on the TV the week of, but I think at some point in that go-home week, there needs to be an interaction between Will Ospreay and the last man he hit with the Tiger Driver, Bryan Danielson. Will did not want to use that move anymore because he injured his hero. He also beat his hero. And Bryan Danielson should give him a pep talk and say, listen, sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do to get to the top of this business. There have been things I haven't been proud of that I've done. But what you have is what can get you to the top. It's what beat me, and it's what can beat MJF, and that's the Tiger Driver. And now you've made that move mythical. And you've had Bryan Danielson tell Will Ospreay, do it. It beat me. I know what it means. Do it. I'm giving you my blessing. It needs to be done. If you want to be the best, you got to use everything at your disposal. Go beat him the way you beat me. Dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, and Ospreay goes out. Maybe that would telegraph the finish. I don't know. But I think Danielson giving him the blessing is the last step. Now, I say all that, and I watched the entire match last night. How many times did MJF find the camera and yell at Garcia? So they're going there. Now, MJF and Garcia was already teased for Wembley. And maybe that'll be the case. Maybe Garcia beats MJF. Maybe they finally elevate him. I just wonder where that leaves Will. Where does that leave Will for Wembley? It's a good spot, though. They're in a good spot with these guys. There's a lot of intrigue with Wembley about a month away. Keep that up. I'm very happy that MJF cheated to beat arguably the best wrestler in the world. That is exactly how you should do it. And he can say all the stuff. I went 60 minutes with Will and this and that. You still needed the ring. And he used the ring. We watched Daniel Garcia not use the ring. He lost to Will Ospreay. MJF uses the ring. He beats Will Ospreay. Once again, it's the same type of story. You got to go all the way. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes. That's what this business is. If you want to be at the top of where the best wrestle, you can't leave anything left behind. You can't leave anything out there. You got to do it all. It's a good story. Let's see if they keep it up. The second of the only 3 matches that we saw. Unbelievable. Dynamite 250. I talk about restoring the feeling of wrestling. They had 3 matches last night. Mercedes and Nyla. This was a backdrop for the Brit story. They did the backstage with Mercedes and the Elite, which I like that she's connected to them because it makes them all heels. The Okada response. I don't know where we're going with this. I also didn't want to see Okada in that mindset on the night where he's going to wrestle Swerve. They've gone a little too comedy with Okada. I think you especially don't do that on a night where he's wrestling Swerve. He should have been locked in last night. I didn't love that. I like that she's somewhat affiliated with them, though. I think it makes sense. I think she should just be part of the group. I'll talk more about that later. But she kind of was a little nervous when Nyla came out. And Nyla beat her up for the whole match. And I talked about this yesterday, how tough that dynamic is. When Nyla's the babyface, the bigger wrestler, who can throw around the smaller heel, that's a tough dynamic. You know, Wrestling 101 is have your babyface overcome, the monsters. That's why Hogan got all the big guys he had to overcome. Ping Pong Bundy and Boss Man and Earthquake and Undertaker. You line up bigger guys for the babyface to topple, to overcome. That's why I thought they kind of missed the boat with Swerve not beating Killswitch when he tore his hair out. Let the world champ beat a bigger guy on the way. But this is the opposite of that. This is the heel champion who's extremely confident going up against a bigger challenger. And she got ragdolled. She got thrown around, and then Mercedes turned around and beat her and tapped her out. I thought they left something out there with that. I got to say. I thought there was more to that match. Maybe that just shows you where Nyla stands. That's what it is. Second ever women's world champ. Certainly has been used nearly in the same way. She wasn't going to win last night, but I was surprised how much she got on Mercedes for Mercedes to kind of quickly turn around and win the match. But it was all about the backdrop to the Britt story, which is exactly what it should have been. She put the glove on. She tried to do her finish and all that, and then she's celebrating. And I guess this is the thing now. It's just you use a Sting mask to hide yourself. She had the sign, Sting mask, and it's Britt. And she pushes her. And security didn't stop right away, which I would have had security jumping a little faster. And then when she gets revealed, then you let her hop the rail. And I think Mercedes should have her own security at all times. She made a couple entrances at WrestleMania where she had the big SUV, and she comes out and she should have that almost, that celebrity type security at all times. And I know Private Party does the thing with the rope. If she's that level of star, which Tony Khan has told us she is, and like I said, I have no problem with that, then treat her as such. She should have security with her at all times, protecting her. Another way to do that is to give her a big heater. Perhaps Camille, former NWA Women's Champion, who has been rumored to go to WWE or go to AEW, who was absolutely menacing, tall, dangerous, strong, and would be a real good heater for Mercedes. I think that might be coming. And I'm just booking as I would. I don't know if she signed. I did see she got announced for a local Florida indie. She also put out a picture of the Webster's Dictionary definition of soon. Think Raquel with Dakota if you need a recent reference. And I know there's way more options than that. Someone who is going to protect someone smaller. Why wouldn't Mercedes have an insurance policy, have protection, have somebody that she can fight, and that can fight for her, that can fight her battles, that can throw people around. It's China with Triple H if you won't even go to that level. That's what it is. She can do the dirty work, and you don't want to mess with her. It was Wardlow with MJF. It's the same idea. The cowardly champion heel hides behind someone who can protect her, and maybe helps protect her titles at Wembley against Britt Baker. I think that makes sense. And if she is signed to AEW, I know the rumor's been out there. I think Fightful had it out there, whatever. There you go. I think it makes a lot of sense. And it's something you do at Wembley when it looks like Mercedes is in trouble. Nope. She's got a big, tall, dangerous, strong heater backing her up. That would work. The brick house, as she's called. Let's see if that comes to fruition. We had a learning tree segment, or TV time, whatever that stupid thing is called. Minoru Suzuki came out, and he's got Jericho next week with Brian Keith and Big Bill banned from ringside. I'm happy to see Minoru Suzuki. I believe he's working Rampage this week against the Butcher. All right, we move on from that. We get the video package of Mariah May and what she did to Toni Storm last week, which, as I said, beautifully done. Fantastic across the board. You could not have executed a heel turn any better. Kudos to everybody involved who made that happen. Kudos to Mariah May, Toni Storm, everybody. And the package was solid, and then they bring out, they doubled up on that, which was interesting, and they broke it up because they showed the package and they showed Jack Perry and whatever Brandon Cutler is supposed to be on this show. And then they brought what was supposed to be Toni Storm out, and it was Mariah as Toni. One more time, I would guess. Her promo was solid. Little Rock, which as Lieutenant Dan once said, is a fine town. And how nobody made that reference last night. Doesn't Tony tweet out all the Universal movie or Warner Brother movie gifts? I was just at Universal last week. They got a bubblegum shrimp there. I think that's a Warner Brothers movie. Nobody tweets out Lieutenant Dan going, Arkansas, huh? Little Rock's a fine town. Come on. That's a fun reference. Commentary to Excalibur, I'm disappointed in you. Anyway. They weren't super with it as much as I would have hoped. But she cut a solid enough promo. I am very interested. They nailed it. What you do have to now establish between now and Wembley, and plenty of time. Mariah needs her own music now. She was doing Toni Storm pre-Timeless Toni Storm music, outfit. She's got to have her own thing now. And they've got to do good with that. They've got to do well with that. You don't want her coming out to new music at a pay-per-view. It confuses people. It's not, I hate that. Sheamus coming out like he did this week with new music. What the hell is that? Dom confirming Forrest Gump is Warner Brothers, as I thought. Come on. Nobody tweeted out. I guess they got Friday if they want to do Rampage. I would say that's an RJ City thing, but 94 is just too recent for him and his references. Who would RJ reference in Forrest Gump? Probably something with Jenny's dad or something. Or he'd tell me all about the guy who laughed that he was sitting next to a millionaire. He probably knows all about that guy's IMDb. In the best way possible, by the way. It is his birthday. I did text him something that appeared in WrestleMania After Dark that wasn't supposed to appear. And if you didn't see it live, you didn't see it happen. I will tell you, it was a clip from WrestleMania 15 that is on the do not show list. Not RJ's fault. Not my fault either. I guess I was on that show too. But I did send him the match where that clip came from that was stupidly dropped into his show and somehow got by a high-level executive who doesn't work at the company anymore, who then, by the way, was known for messing that up. Someone who got let go, and his name came up, and I was talking to somebody high up on the TV side, and they're like, oh, that guy, the guy who let that clip go by in that show, WrestleMania. I was like, yes. Mm-hmm. Oof. I guess I could say the boss man thing with the noose after the Hell in a Cell match. Someone dropped that into WrestleMania After Dark, and it was supposed to be like a funny thing. RJ did not know. I did not know. None of us knew. And it just aired the night after. So it would have been like right after Sasha versus Bianca. That's when WrestleMania After Dark aired on YouTube. And I forgot why. Like something about leaving him hanging. And they dropped the boss man thing in there. And that is on there. There are things that you just aren't allowed to show anymore. Some things as simple as don't show the PC wrestling matches from the pandemic, other than Drew doing the hand thing. The boss man hanging thing is not allowed to be used or repurposed. And someone who was editing it dropped it back in. Oh, that was bad. So I jokingly sent RJ a clip of that match today. And then we started talking about that. Anyway, Mariah May and Toni Storm. What does Toni look like next? Do we still get, the old school actress Toni? Does this morph into something else? Is this her greatest, most dangerous role yet? How much can you stay in that gimmick, that register in your voice, when that is what's happened to you, when you've been affected in such a way? The reference is like she's got to be serious, she's got to be sad, she's got to be out for revenge. I think she can do it. I think there's a way to do it. She's never been a pushover in this gimmick. She's been a heck of a champ. She kind of figured it out. It took some time. First couple matches were like, well, how is she going to wrestle? And then she figured it out. But what do we see from her next? It's good, though. It's good stuff. Main event, Swerve and Okada. It was almost like you could tell from the jump that they weren't going to have the match you'd expect from them. It was almost like they wrestled as if a DQ was coming. And you know what? I'm okay with that. And I'm not going to knock them for doing a DQ. They needed to kick blood and guts into high gear because it's next week. And you got the big brawl at the end of the pull apart, and you had the Acclaimed and Swerve and Mark Briscoe come together earlier in the night, and okay, we're all on the same team. It was, you know what I don't like? I like that they did what they did, because we could save Swerve and Okada for the match that they should have for down the road. This pull apart and major brawl at the end of the show was the right way to go home, although theoretically you have a Saturday show too, but it's not treated the same way. It was the right way to build to next week, but everybody on those teams should have been on those teams for about 2 weeks by now. Not added the week before. Because, yeah, you could say the Acclaim's got some stuff with the Bucks to deal with. And Darby's coming out for revenge on Jack Perry. Mark Briscoe just wanted to be part of it. I get that. I get all that. I would have locked these teams in weeks ago. And it's not even like they did an injury replacement, which happens. That's okay. They took somebody out. Somebody's got to come in. Oh, it's the returning Darby. They didn't do that. So it feels like this story, or anything to do with the Elite, used to be a bigger deal and has been moved down in terms of the biggest stories in the company. It feels like it's been moved down. Swerve happens to be in the match, but the stuff with him and Ospreay and his title and him and Danielson certainly feels bigger than that. MJF and Ospreay and Garcia feels bigger than Blood and Guts. Toni and Mariah feels bigger than Blood and Guts. Britt and Mercedes feels big. Like, there's more to all these things. I don't know what I'm supposed to think about this Blood and Guts match. The Elite win, and then what? Did they earn something? All they're saying is, well, if we win, we take out the champ, we can get the titles. Okay. But that story's fine if it's about going for the championship, or what it's always been about, the championship. Instead, the story's been well, we have power and this and then, but what does that power get you? What does it mean? If they win next week, do they just keep doing the same stuff where they kind of run the show, even though Toni Khan runs the show, even though Christopher Daniels gets to speak on. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Blood and Guts has been big faction matches in years past. Good and bad, but it's been about that. It's come to a head. This doesn't feel like it's come to a head. Why are they defending the honor of AEW? Mark Briscoe and the Acclaimed and Swerve. You know, if they had finalized the team sooner, there'd be more to it. As someone just said, there's no consequence. I see somebody saying that AEW's done. Like that's very lazy. You can go take that to Bischoff's show. They're not done. Why do we do that? I don't get that. Why do you root against them? That happens so often. Also, I got yelled at by some writers or reporters or content creators or whatever about how I told people to handle press conferences, which they've been, by the way, changed. If someone sends you fast nationals, you don't have to post them. If you have no pride and just want to go, well, somebody sent me fast nationals and they had a WWE Corp in their email, I'm going to post these. You don't have to post them. They don't mean anything. Why do we never see fast nationals for Raw? Why do we not see fast nationals for NXT? Why is it only a weekend thing? Why does it always tend to be about AEW? And I realize the people that have posted them will still post them. They don't mean anything. It's not even the final number. It's a PR thing. Are you monetizing your Twitter by posting them? Oh, I guess so. Go ahead. Make your money that way. They don't mean anything. When people read them, they don't mean anything. And how many times have they come out in recent weeks and the final number is not as gloom and doom as the Fast National said they were? If you don't know, and I'm not expecting everybody to know, they don't mean a damn thing. Educate yourselves on that. Don't fall for it. If they meant something, we'd be seeing them all the time. They don't. If you're sent them, think about why you're being sent them. Waste of time. Couple things here as we close up. Cody and Solo, now official for SummerSlam. Kind of just dropped that announcement in there yesterday, which I thought was weird. Cody tweeted about it. I just want to see, because he said something, and I wanted to just make sure I had it right when I saw his tweet as it related to the announcement of the match. He said, where is it? Oh, no, he didn't. This is a Cody Top Guy corporate tweet. He retweeted with a quote, Cody Rhodes Sokoa, Undisputed WWE Championship with the graphic, and his retweet quote was, the Undisputed WWE Championship comes to Cleveland at Wingstop at RM Fieldhouse at WWE. So very corporate, Top Guy type of thing. I don't. If Cody just beats Solo, it is what it is. I'll go back to the belief that if Cody and Solo's on the show, it's the main event. I think Drew and Punk has to be unsanctioned. And I saw that Punk was at the peak. I mean, he shot a friggin' video with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. But they have to... I don't think anybody thinks Solo's beating Cody. I don't think you want that to be the feeling for a SummerSlam match. That's what I'm saying. There should be doubt. I don't think there's doubt. I don't think that Cody should lose to Solo Sikoa. Now, once again, I'll come back to that. If this is based around the fact that Rock and or Roman are going to show up in Cleveland, okay. And that has to happen in the main event. That can't happen anywhere else on the card. If you believe Roman's coming back, maybe that's why you're going. Maybe that's why they've sold 50,000 seats. And it's not just because of that. But I'd love to know, for people who bought a ticket, are there people out there buying tickets because they think Roman's coming back and they want to be there? And I would totally get that. As we have stuff that's been posted, will be posted about my conversation about how big of a babyface Roman's going to be when he comes back. And will he be bigger than Cody? Will it make sense to keep them on separate shows? Are people looking forward to that match more so because of the possibility of Roman or because they just want to see the match? We'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. NXT ratings were down. They were at 610 this week. I never overreact to an up or down week. It's the trend that's more interesting to me. They put Joe Henry on the show twice, and I talked about that, the sprinkling the intrigue of, let me get that actual number for you, the intrigue of what could happen or who could show up or anything like that. That's what NXT's been for weeks, it feels like. And here we go. Thank you to WrestleNomics for these numbers. 610.2 in the demo. So that was down 7%, down 4% in the trailing weeks, down 14% from last year. They went up against the All-Star game. Certainly fine. I get that. And little political news out in the world right now. It's the trend. Where does it stay? Do people go, all right, we get it. The TNA thing's around. We like Joe Hendry. Is he just going to be around now? Is that enough to get people to tune in? I'm not sure. I talked about it yesterday, trying to figure out what kind of world NXT is in. And I said it just seems so separated from Raw and SmackDown. And some people think that's a good thing. And I understand that. There is this weird feeling of it's like Lucha Underground, which if you didn't watch, was a show that was on for a few years that was very, very much a dramatic television show with people who could come back to life and murder, and there happened to be wrestling. Like wrestling was just part of it. But there was all these other stories going on with the wrestlers. It was very dramatically based and in a good way. And they could kind of do what they wanted. And you just were like, hey, we're watching a TV show. So sure, someone could get murdered. Or, this could happen with the guy who runs the show. And actually, he's in trouble. Ask Wade Barrett about that show. And so many different talents appeared on that show. Pentagon, Io Sky was on that show. Kairi Sane was on that show. Chelsea Green was on that show. Tommy Dreamer, Mysterio, Ricochet, Swerve. If you've never watched, maybe that might be a content idea for the people here. Maybe we'll rewatch Lucha Underground. Maybe I'll get Chef involved in that too. The first couple of seasons are so fun. But my point is, it existed in its own universe. It was not reality-based. Phoenix was on there as well. Thank you. It was not reality-based. You suspended your disbelief. You were watching a fictional show. And that's what it was. You understood that. It feels like that's almost what NXT is. Like I joked about, like when you saw Jensen and Briggs walk out and everybody's kind of waiting outside and like waiting for their ride, or what's going on here? Is this high school? And, Chase U and the D'Angelo family talking about throwing people. They murdered Pretty Deadly, who then somehow came back to life and ended up on SmackDown. They threw people in trunks and all that. That's what NXT is. It just kind of exists in its own universe. It is so different from Raw and SmackDown. Do you like that it's different? I said, yesterday how different it used to be from a black and gold standpoint, where it was very wrestling. It's the cool brand. It's very indie heavy. It's all of that. Now it's different in a way where it's just completely different. And that's why, we put that thing out I did a couple months ago of, 5 acts that I think could work on the main roster and 5 that I didn't. And like I threw the D'Angelo family, I threw Chase, I think we talked about Chase U in there. Just how does that translate to Raw and SmackDown? Because you have to sell for those characters. You have to believe in those characters. It works in NXT. It's a different story on Raw and SmackDown. I don't know. NXT is a weird show. I know why people like it. I get it. There's parts I certainly like about it. It's just a very different show. But yeah, the Lucha Underground thing, we might have to explore. What you can explore, though, love you to do this, is the WrestlingMatchShow.com and check out our memberships. And we're telling you this right now. If you sign up for any tier, the lowest being $2.99. This is a special sign-up bonus for any tier. You're going to live stream and watch SummerSlam with me. You can get questions in there, any questions you have. Instant reaction. As I'm talking about things, I'll share my memories of SummerSlam, ones that I watched, ones that I was at. You sign up for any tier right now at thewrestlingmatchshow.com, our membership, starting at $2.99. You're watching SummerSlam with me. Base level, which is right above Todd. Entry into our members-only live chats, priority reply to comments, special merchandise discounts coming. You can be part of our AMA episodes, taking your questions. Then we have the mid-card level. We're going to pick some episodes of Raw or SmackDown or Dynamite to watch, dissecting it, watching them live. Just like we're going to do for SummerSlam. We'll do that probably once a month. And exclusive content I'll be putting out there just for you, including my top 5 SummerSlam matches. Now, the main event, the mat event, as we call it, my account right there, the Matt Camp will follow you on social media, as well as our Wrestling Matt 23 account. We'll follow you on social media there. You'll get a special piece of merchandise if you're with us for at least 90 days. Random drawing to our members. You get a one-on-one AMA with me once a month. And once a month, we'll choose somebody at random to pick an event to watch back in full. From the past, anywhere you want, within reason. And all of us on the members tier will watch it together. So all of that available, but if you sign up today on any tier starting at $2.99, you'll get to watch SummerSlam with me and our other members here at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. So go check that out. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check out those memberships. Share with your friends. We got one more day of this week to talk about wrestling. And we'll be back then to talk about wrestling even more. See you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Wrestling Mat.